Hello, everyone, and welcome to Barca News. It is March 28th, 2023, and La Liga have filed a complaint against Barcelona for racial slurs. Also, the club could add one more La Liga title to their count before this season is over. And finally, Vitor Roque's father is currently on a European tour discussing the possibility of his son signing with other clubs. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and before we begin with the news, I would like to remind you that if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. It is free, it only takes a second, and in doing so, you will be helping this small and humble channel continue to grow. Also, as I mentioned in the community tab yesterday, the live stream setup is finally complete, so I will officially do the first live stream video of Barca News tomorrow, Wednesday, March 29th at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so that's New York time. So I hope to see all of you there. I will be able to engage with you through the chat function, and of course, I will be bringing you the most up-to-date Barca news. We begin with the news that Ousmane Dembele is doing extra work in order to accelerate his recovery, because it seems that the French striker is determined on recovering as fast as possible and getting back into action. Now, I reported in a previous video that Dembele was seen training on Sunday when the whole team had the day off, and it seems like that wasn't the exception. It seems like Dembele has been doing that for quite some time, where he has picked up his training regimen, especially at the gym, because Dembele wants to strengthen his muscle in order to prevent any future injuries. Now, it's reported that Barcelona have scheduled a medical exam on Thursday, where they're gonna see where Dembele is at as far as his recovery, whether he's healing, how well is he's healing, and how far along is he through the healing process. And that exam will give us a better detail or a better idea about where does Dembele stand and when should we expect him back. Now, as I mentioned before, it is most likely that Dembele will be ruled out of El Clasico match that's set to be played on April 5th in that second leg of the Copa del Rey semifinal. But nonetheless, we do need Dembele back as soon as possible so he can continue playing for the remainder of the season. Now, speaking of El Clasico match, I've seen a lot of comments from you on several of my videos, not just yesterday's video, saying that Vinicius Jr will be suspended during the second leg of the Copa del Rey semifinal because he picked up a yellow card during the first leg of the semifinal. And I'm here to tell you that those rumors are absolutely false. In the Copa del Rey, once you accumulate 3 yellow cards, then you get suspended for 1 match. And yes, that was Vinicius Jr. Third yellow card technically in that tournament. However, once you reach the semifinals of the Copa del Rey, all previous yellow cards are erased. So even though Vinicius Jr. had received 2 yellow cards previously, those 2 yellow cards were erased. So that 1 yellow card that he got during the first leg of the semifinal of the Copa del Rey was technically his first yellow card, not his third. So no, Vinicius Jr. will not be suspended for the second leg of the Copa del Rey. He will be participating in it. Now, speaking of Vinicius Jr., La Liga have filed an official complaint against Barcelona for racial slurs directed at Vinicius Jr. during La Liga's El Clasico match a week and a half ago at the Spotify Camp Nou. And it seems that one section of the Spotify Camp Nou had hurled racial insults at the player, and as such, La Liga have filed this complaint against the club. Now, of course, I'm very glad that La Liga are investigating these claims of racial slurs directed at players. There's absolutely no place for racism in football or any aspects of life. However, this is the 20th complaint that La Liga are filing in regards to Vinicius Jr. alone, which I'm starting to think that there is some kind of agenda at play here, because even though La Liga should be investigating racial slurs complaints and they should be prosecuting clubs for these things, it's really weird to me that only Vinicius Jr. is the only player that La Liga continues to investigate, because I'm pretty sure that these racial slurs are directed at other players from other teams. But it seems that La Liga only cares when racism is directed at Vinicius Jr., which is, of course, absolutely wrong. Not because they're investigating these claims, but but because they should be investigating all claims, because as I said before, there's absolutely no place for racism in football or in any other aspects of life. Now, speaking of La Liga, Joan Laporta is planning to file an official request to have La Liga recognize a trophy that Barcelona won back in 1937, which was back then called La Liga del Mediterráneo, or the Mediterranean League, which was the predecessor of the Spanish League. Now, this has come after both Levante and Deportivo La Coruña requested that La Liga recognize trophies that they had won several years ago, with Deportiva La Coruña requesting that La Liga recognize a trophy that they won back in 1912, which was called the Copa de España, which is the predecessor of the Copa del Rey, and La Liga granted Deportivo La Coruña's request. And the same thing happened with Levante, where they requested that La Liga recognize the trophy that they had won back in 1937, which was also called Copa de España, which is again the predecessor of the Copa del Rey. And La Liga also granted their request. And after these two requests were granted, Barcelona have decided to ask La Liga to recognize that they won the Mediterranean League, which is the predecessor of La Liga. And if this request is accepted, that will bring Barcelona's total from 26 La Liga trophies to 27. And if Xavi wins another title at the end of the season, that will bring it to a total of 28 trophies. And it will be the first time that Barcelona have won or added 2 La Liga titles to their total. Now on to the news that it seems that Vitor Roque's father is currently on a European tour, meeting with different clubs to see what kind of offers they have for his son, Vitor Roque. Now it seems that Vitor Roque's father has already met with Arsenal, PSG, and Chelsea, where he has met with representatives from those clubs to see what kind of offers they have, and he's also visited the facilities of all these clubs. And it's reported that he is scheduled to visit Barcelona at the end of this month, where he's going to be meeting with Matteo Alemany, Joan Laporta, Jordi Cruyff, and where he will also be visiting the installation of Barcelona, including the Spotify Camp Nou and the Ciutat Esportiva, or the sporting complex where the Barcelona team trains. Now, as I've mentioned before, Vitor Roque has said on multiple times that he does want to join Barcelona. However, it seems that he's not completely closed off about hearing offers from other clubs. And as I've also mentioned before, Atletico Paranaense have informed Barcelona that the price of Vitor Roque has increased to 50 million euros, which is more than what Barcelona were planning to pay. Now, alongside Vitor Roque's father is also an agent from Atletico Paranaense who's been traveling with him to hear what these other clubs have to offer the Brazilian club. And hopefully this tour does not result in a bidding war, because Barcelona have made it very clear that they will not gonna engage in any kind of bidding war, that they know that they want Vitor Roque, they know how much they can pay for him, and if that's something that's acceptable for the player and Atletico Paranaense, then they will go ahead with the deal. And if not, then Barcelona will not proceed any forward, because they're not gonna engage in a bidding war in order to try to outbid other clubs. Barcelona are not going to do that, so they will be the first one to pull out if that happens. Now, we will end today's video with the interesting statements that the Canadian Jonathan David made in regards about what team is his favorite one. Now, Jonathan David is a 23-year-old center forward who currently plays for Lille, and he's been having a spectacular season. And in fact, he is the top scorer in the French league, and he has attracted interest from a lot of clubs around Europe, especially after his World Cup performance. Now, Jonathan David is a player that Barcelona were interested in last summer, but unfortunately negotiations did not go in Barcelona's way, and they weren't able to make the signing. And now the Canadian striker has made some very interesting statements where he has said that Barcelona has always been his favorite club ever since that he was a little kid, that he's always watched Barcelona play growing up, and that it would be a dream for him to play for Barcelona. Now, these are very interesting statements by one of the most prominent strikers currently right now in Europe. And it goes to show that if Barcelona cannot sign Vitor Roque, there are still options out there. I don't know about Jonathan David being an option himself, because his transfer market value right now is set at 60 million euros, which is of course a lot of money for Barcelona that they cannot afford right now. But nonetheless, if the Vitor Roque signing doesn't happen, that Barcelona still have options out there that they can look at. So that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a like. Also, would like to invite all of you to please leave a comment down below, giving me all your thoughts and opinions about all the news that I share with you. And finally, I would like to invite all of you to please subscribe to the channel so you can stay current on all the latest news in regards to our beloved club, FC Barcelona. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. And as always, Peace, Barça.